Hello there everybody and welcome to a game called Oxygen Not Included. I've been playing this off camera for quite a few years now and I think I'm up to about 600 or so hours, which is really good, and I thought that we'll share it with you guys and we'll do a playthrough, which I'm really excited to give it a go. So we're going to jump in here, we're going to start a new game and we're going to have survival, just your regular, and there is a classic mode which is just the standard base game, but we're going to be playing the Spaced Out DLC. It's really quite good and really emphasis on space travel and a little bit smaller maps, which is quite nice. So we'll jump in there. And as you can see here, here's our starting world. It does give us some interesting things. You can pretty much tell what you're going to get. You'll get a whole bunch of water, hatches. In here, it's more of like a algae type area, which is quite nice. And then this is pretty much like a polluted planet with rust and things like that, then ice biomes, and there's a whole bunch of different ones you can go through, but we're just going to start with the stock standard one for the moment, just to see how we get going. And we're going to randomize everything here, and we're going to use number 13 because it's my favorite number, so we'll do that. So as you can see here, there's a whole bunch of different world traits that are available to us. The starting asteroid has nothing new about it. It's just standard. Then the irradiated forest asteroid gets small boulders. The oily swamp asteroid, metal rich and medium boulders. The tundra, radioactive crust, which deposits of uranium ore are found in the world's crust, which is nice. Marshy asteroid gets a frozen core instead of a magma core, which is pretty different. And then the regolith asteroid is reduced metal ore, which not the best. But we're going to leave it at that, and then we're going to use the story traits, which you can have a look in here a little bit more. I haven't played any of these yet, so I think I started with this one in a offline playthrough, but never completed it yet. So there's the seed, essentially, which I'll pop in the description below if you want to play along with me. And with that, let's jump in. Okay, so we get to pick 3 of our starting duplicants. Which you can see here, they have a whole bunch of interests which they like. This gives them +1 to their morale if you do pick them, which is pretty handy. And you can see here they always have a positive trait and a negative trait, but sometimes that can go up to about 3 positives and I think 2 negatives, possibly 3 negatives. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you can see here it starts with a tier 2 skill, which is quite nice, and we'll get into that in a bit more detail. But what I'm going to do is you can come here and you can essentially re-roll for whatever duplicate you want. But in particular, it's always nice to have a digger, because you're going to need a lot of that in the beginning there. We're just going to keep re-rolling until we find someone that we really do like. This isn't too bad. Excavation and athletics. Athletics gives you extra 40% run speed. We're going to see what else we can find. Say hello to our 3 duplicates. So I re-rolled a whole bunch, essentially, because I wanted a digger, a researcher, and a builder. And I got to the 2 of these, which I think are pretty fine. Excavation and construction, which for a digger is perfect. Science, just for the extra bump up to researching, I thought was pretty good. And I rolled 2 of the irritable bowels, so I was like, well, we may as well get an additional one and do a trio just for fun. So I did that. I've got essentially a +4 to construction here, which is pretty decent, and then +3 to science, which you can see here in more detail, gives +30% skill leveling, +15% geo tuning speed, which I think is pretty good. And we're going to name the colony Space Camp, and we're going to embark, and we're going to start. So I have named these after a few people on the Discord. I've just randomized who we had, so we can see here. We're going to pause. We've got Pixel, we've got Deoxys, and we've got Oko. So that's what we're going to do. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to basically zoom out and see what we've got around us. Fresh water source over here, which is pretty handy. A little shine bug and some oxygen. And that's not too bad, actually. And then the first thing we're going to do as well is let's have a look at some of the priorities. This is a very good system to get used to. So things like your diggers, you probably want to give them very high priority, your researcher as well. And I'm actually going to set everyone else down so they don't attempt to do any research. We're going to say these two can just be good. Like, if there is any building to do it, do it. And I'm happy with that, actually. So the first thing we're going to do is try and get down to this water. So the best way for us to essentially do that is to dig out... I might actually just dig straight to this water instead, actually. We're going to dig straight there. We're going to see what's going to happen. There we go. We've already started to get some materials, because you can see we've got some sandstone coming in there. So we can start building some bits as well. We're going to get some copper ore, which we are going to want to start throwing out some toilets here in a minute. So I'm just going to do some basic calculations here for a second. So we're going to go there. I always like to, if I build a ladder system, just have a couple gaps on either side of my ladder system, which will go up and down here so that we can avoid the water. Got this water over here, some fresh water there actually. Pneumatic door can go into that section. I'm going to cancel that because we don't need to dig that if possible. A couple outhouses and a couple sinks will do for today. These are the main things I want to focus on right for the get-go. I also want to end up getting some bedrooms if possible. So we're going to come up here. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to be the floor for the next room. 3 of those down there. And that should keep them busy for a little while. So you can see here as well, we've got some oxalites. This is basically oxygen ore. It will emit some oxygen as long as the pressure here is below 2 kilos per tile, which is quite nice. So that's going to be the very early source of our oxygen to start with. Coming over to our temperature overlay, you can see is got a relatively cool section. It's a bit warm up here. A bit warm up there. There's a vacuum over there, interesting. And then this is quite hot. And one thing to know about temperature is it can be a very big killer for a lot of things. We're going to place that there so you can build it in and we can get some water for these outhouses. I think it'll be super helpful. We're just setting up the early game to start with. We're also going to want to get some research up and running. There's that one down there. We're going to come over to power. We're going to get power generator, which is just a manual one, and a battery. And then we got some wash basins here, which we can set the direction if we want them to wash their hands as they come in or just as they go out, which is what we want here because the toilets do create quite a bit of germs if the duplicants do use them. So we'll see them when they end up getting to their break. You can see we've got some water delivered as well from our new pitcher pump. And then coming over to some of these rooms, you can see that we've got our latrine here, which can be a maximum of 64 tiles. Which you can see comes up to about there. So I'm actually just going to cancel that, and I'm going to use this as kind of like a benchmark for where I kind of want our rooms, because we're going to need to extend all of these at the end of the day. But there's no need for us to do it at the moment, so we're not going to. Also probably want to dig out a little bit more there for us. So room has to be enclosed. As you can see here, they've just completed this one. So we've got a barracks there, which will give us an additional morale bonus of +1, which is fantastic. And we're coming to the end of the cycle as well. So we're going to have to start thinking about getting this research up and running. So I might actually bump that priority back up to 5 now that they've completed it. So that Oko can actually... Is that Oko? Who's actually going to be our researcher? Oh, it's Deoxys. Okay, cool. Go. So we're going to have a floor panel there. A ladder coming up this way then. Perfect. Researching is ready to start, and here's our research tree. You can see there's quite a bit to go through, but it's pretty self-explanatory. The first thing that we really want to focus on, though, is basic farming. Because what basic farming is going to do is it's going to allow us to get the planter box, and then we can grow different types of foods from seed, which is quite nice. And we want to go into meal preparation so that we can get the mess table, so that our guys don't have to sit on the floor when they want to eat, which you'll see here because we're coming up to the end of cycle 1 pretty quickly. There we go. So it's dinner time. So they're all going to rush on over First go to the bathroom, we'll speed this up slightly, because we don't need to watch that in slow motion, I don't think. There we go. So we can get rid of some of these. We did get a colony achievement, actually. Bed and bath. Have at least one toilet in the colony and a bed for every duplicant. And we found ourselves a little hatch. Hatch is a very good way of starting to get some meat. So we want to keep an eye on where they're hovering about, because we're going to end up using them eventually. So we're going to go on 2 speed while they're carrying on with their day. I do eventually want to dig down here just so that we've got access to this water if possible. Guess we may as well queue up some additional things for them at the same time. What have we got? So we got the compost, we got the ration box, we got the planter boxes, which is perfect. We are actually going to think about building the mess hall just here. I think that'll be a good shout once it's finished researching, which shouldn't take too long. We're going to come in here, dig this out. Just going to dig that out for the moment. We're going to leave you open so that duplicants don't have to worry about essentially opening and closing the doors, which is pretty handy. Come on, Deoxys, you're nearly there. Nearly there. Perfect. So you can see here we got a few additional things. We got the electric grill so we can cook up some of the additional food that we've got going on. In terms of research, what are we going to want to go for next? Getting bigger batteries is always helpful. I'm going to go for employment. I'm going to get the water cooler, because that works out quite well with the mess hall, so that we can try and get it up to a great hall. We do need like a decor item, but that will be okay at the end of the day. So we have a mess hall, so that's another +3 morale, which is perfect. You guys have got nothing to do, but it's nearly the end of the day. So perhaps you can come over here and dig that out for me. And then maybe do a little bit of digging there. A little bit more digging. Oopsie. What are we looking at? That's 64. Perfect. There you go. So there's the downtime. So next up, I think we're going to want to... There's the water cooler, actually. Again, you can have a look at some of the stats here as well. Improves duplicants morale, which is nice. And then we can add some additional mess tables there while we're at it. I want to get the advanced research up and running. So this is, as you can see here, it's got the purple icon. That means we need this advanced research station, which is pretty good. So some of the planter boxes are available here, and now we can pick some of the seeds that we've dug up. So you can see we got some seeds here. That's a blossom seed. There's some mealwood there. Oh, there they are, the mealwood seed, which provides us really decent but low quality food. So we're going to copy settings, get all of these. There we go, and I believe we need 5 per duplicant in order to sustain them, which is what we're going to look at sorting out in a minute. And I think we bring the rest of it across here. I like trying to have a tidy base just to start with. That's 5 tiles, so that will work for our plants. Haven't got any seeds at the moment, but we can always come up here and just dig some up. I've realized we might need to move these, actually. I did not think this through. Another 5 there. This is fertilizer. That'll be okay. Just going to deconstruct these, actually. That was my bad. I put them in the wrong spot because we wanted to turn that into a lab, essentially. Which is what we're going to do here. Got the supercomputer. Come over here and get some better research. I'm going to go for jumbo batteries, which are slightly more... can store us slightly more than the single battery that we've got going on here. Telescope, which we can't use at the moment, and a skill scrubber. Alright, we got a few extra bits. I'm going to also build the supercomputer. Which does need a light source if we want to get improved bonus from it, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. There we go, now first printing pod. So we're going to choose a blueprint. Now we have the option, this is, ooh, okay. Now we have the option to essentially pick another duplicant if we wanted to, or get a care package. And in this case, it's a hatchling, which is one of those baby hatches that we saw running around in the background there. Ada here, green thumb, increased agriculture, increased creativity. Shabby dresser makes the decor around it look a little bit shabby, but tidying could be quite nice. Increased bladder, that's not too bad. Science strength cuisine, that could be a chef for us, which I think might be a good shout actually. A buff is increased strength, doesn't really matter. I kind of want the cuisine, although here cuisine +3, but you don't have any interest in it, so we can't get the morale bonus from it. Increased construction, increased decor. I'm gonna go with Ari. We're gonna go with him, and we're gonna change the name. We're gonna turn him into Kevin, which is one of my friends, and also available on Discord as well. So welcome to the colony, the space camp, as you will. And he's got himself a skill point, so we're going to have a look here. They always start with one when they come out of the printing pod, which is quite nice. So we're going to give him grilling to start with, so that he has the ability to actually start cooking, which would be quite nice. Get him a bed, and then now we having a look here, we don't have enough toilets, so we're going to come over to the schedule here. While they're working in the background, we're going to make ourselves a new schedule. So this is a night owl. Oko is a big night owl. So we need to think about if we can get them to work during the night, they'll get +3. But for the moment, all I'm going to do is I'm going to shift up all of this by 2. We're going to bring this here. We're going to go bedtime here. And then we're going to go downtime here. And work there. And then we're going to shift a couple of these guys over. Oko can go there and Gavin can go there as well. There we go. Now they're not going to share the... Oh, they're not going to run into a queue while they're in the bathroom, because they are on different schedules for that, which is quite handy, if you ask me. I think we can probably call it there. So you can see we started off quite strong. We've got ourselves a couple rooms as well, a barracks, a latrine, and a mess hall. Got a little bit of food starting off here. Access to plenty of fresh water. Got that hatch floating about, so we can always start working on some meat, essentially. And we picked up Gavin as the extra duplicant as well. We're going to disable that building because they don't need that. But with that, guys, thank you very much for watching. And in the next episode, we're going to get the supercomputer up and running. And perhaps we're going to start looking at getting a nice kitchen up and running as well, so Gavin can spend most of his days just standing there and cooking, essentially. But with that, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye for now.